Smackdown 126-24. We have the review coming up. The show just went off the air. We'll get to everything top to bottom, but we got some breaking news, and I mean massive breaking news. A whole nother magnitude of breaking news. This is Vince McMahon resigning from WWE. It is official. TKO released their statement, or at least Nick Khan released a statement during Smackdown. And I'll read that to you guys. And then a half an hour later, Vince McMahon himself left a statement. And again, Vince McMahon no longer a part of TKO Holdings or WWE. The official statement from Nick Khan, I'll read to you guys first. And he says, and I quote, again, this is the CEO of WWE, Nick Khan. I wanted to inform you that Vince McMahon has tendered his resignation from his positions as TKO Executive Chairman and on the TKO Board of Directors. He says he will no longer have a role with TKO Group Holdings or WWE. He will no longer have any role with either entity. That's massive. And then again, about 25 minutes to a half an hour later, Vince McMahon sent out this statement. While I stand by my prior statement that Miss Grant's lawsuit is replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred and is a vindictive distortion of the truth, I intend to vigorously defend myself against these baseless accusations and look forward to clearing my name. However, out of respect for the WWE Universe, the extraordinary TKO business and its board of directors, members and shareholders, partners, and all of the employees and superstars who helped make the WWE into the global leader it is today, I have decided to resign from my executive chairmanship and the TKO board of directors, effective immediately. End quote from Vince McMahon. So again, Vince McMahon, let me simplify that. Vince McMahon is gone from WWE. And that's wild. He did this before retirement when the first round of accusations came up from many females, but he was already so far ahead of everybody else with his legal team. He had all his ducks in a row. He truly felt invincible. And he came right back onto the board, and he brought his old people back, Barrios and Michelle Wilson. I mean, Vince came back, and he came back bolder and with more power than ever before. But this latest story and this latest suit really hit differently. You just knew this was not good at all. And this is Endeavor now. This isn't just a publicly traded company with Vince at the helm. This is Endeavor. This is a much broader and much bigger in seismic magnitude of a conglomerate than just Vince running WWE. Endeavor cannot play this game. Endeavor cannot have this black cloud hovering over it on such an epic week like they were having this week. The Rock named to the board. Netflix in the just massive deal acquiring the rights to Raw. Rumble is tomorrow night, igniting WrestleMania season. And instead, this is the biggest story of the entire week because it is a dark cloud that is just hanging over WWE and Endeavor. And I don't know if the sun can truly shine through that black cloud tomorrow night for the Rumble. I truly do not, right? We were all excited for the Rumble. There was all these storylines. Who's going to win this? How does this set up for WrestleMania? That was the talk. Trust me, as somebody with a, I would say, pretty successful channel in the community, I've been gauging my audience from the jump, and everybody has a different feel for the Rumble, right? There's all these questions, and it's pretty intriguing. And instead, this has taken so much of our time the last 24 hours plus. And going into the Rumble, which is just tomorrow night. Again, SmackDown just went off the air. And we're not really talking about the Rumble. We're talking about Vince McMahon. This lawsuit and his resignation from WWE. I mean, that is a dark cloud, and it's going to take a while for that storm to pass. Tomorrow night for the Rumble, honestly, guys, this is one of the biggest shows in WWE history. This is a show that has to bring its A game and then some. Paul Levesque McMahon, this is his calling card tomorrow night. This is his time to step up. If he is a true leader, now's the time. Because he has to shift focus. He has to let everybody know when that show goes off the air tomorrow. All the headlines have to be what happened on that show, not Vince. It has to be about the surprises. It has to be about the outcomes, the booking decisions, the epic moments. It's got to be one of those shows we go back and watch 2, 3, 26 times like we used to back in the day with pay-per-views. It has to be one of those shows from top to bottom. After tomorrow night's Royal Rumble, when it goes off the air, man, everybody's focus has to be to the future. The new mission statement, the new goal. Instead of looking backwards, we're looking forwards. Because if fans, the audience can see this black cloud or just feel it, right? The elephant in the room, this black cloud. Just imagine the superstars in the suits and ties, the employees to the talent that are in the company, what they're feeling right now. That cloud must be hovering on them even tenfold. Tomorrow night is such a big moment for this company. Massive moment for this company. And that's not over-exaggerating the ordeal. That's not over-dramatizing or over-exaggerating or over-embellishing the magnitude of this moment. Because for most of us, all we knew running WWF is Vincent Kennedy McMahon. And even though he was just the executive chairman of TKO and the board, and he gave the creativity to Levesque McMahon, we all knew he would dabble back in and out of those weeds, right? We all knew it was still, Vince McMahon is still there. But this is just different. This is like he is truly gone. And no matter what happens in this case, I don't see how he'll ever be back. Even if he wants to, even if he tries to get the best legal team, even if he thinks he has all the ducks in the row, even if he's feeling invincible. There's no way Endeavor can allow that. This black cloud can never, this type of storm can never come back over WWE. There has to be those sunny days ahead. And I'm not talking about Tammy Sitch. This is one of those moments, man. Tomorrow night, you have to start a new chapter. You got to start a whole new book. Because this is bad. Very bad. And tomorrow night has to be that moment of clarity, man. Turn the page, close the book. Vince McMahon. Again, guys, I was doing my notes. We were going into the main event when I found out what was going on. You know, good buddies of mine. One of them very much in the know down in Florida, and I'm just getting blown up on the phone, and I'm like, I'm doing my notes, I'm working here. Finally, I check, and I'm like, oh, you know, BC, you got to tap into this. Big Vince McMahon news. And you just don't believe it because you understand it. You're not shocked given the circumstances, but you're absolutely stunned because for as long as I've ever watched professional wrestling, it's WWF into WWE, and it's always been Vince McMahon. And no matter what the ordeal, he was always able to beat it. He was always a mile ahead of everybody else with his legal team. It didn't matter what the suits were. It doesn't matter who was accusing him of anything. It didn't matter if he was on trial for steroids. It didn't matter what the ordeal was. Vince McMahon always came back and always had his chest out even more afterwards. And to see him get knocked out this time and he can't get back up from it, it's just wild, man. This is just a wild, surreal conversation that we're having right now, man. One of the most surreal uploads that I'll ever put on the channel is right now. Because I've only ever known Vince McMahon running the ship of WWE. Doesn't matter. Endeavor owns it. Paul Levesque McMahon's doing the head of creative. You still felt that it's Vince McMahon's baby, right? At any moment he says one thing, it's changed. And you just feel differently now. And you say, well, BC, still, I mean, Paul Levesque McMahon, just give him a phone call, obviously. He could still be yelling orders to Levesque McMahon. That's true. That's absolutely true. But I promise you, it just feels like if anybody in Endeavor found that out, like Ari, there would be major consequences. Whereas just 48 hours ago, if Ari found out that Paul Levesque was asking Vince for advice, Ari would be like, yeah, I'm not getting involved with this. Vince would know better than anybody else. No, this company is distancing itself from Vince. I told you got in the live stream. And by the end of the live stream, there was an official announcement from Ari, Endeavor, TKO. And they told you straight out in that statement where they stood on this. They were already in the process of distancing themselves from Vince McMahon. Already. That's why this feels different. They never did that before. Not to those lengths or those levels. That's why this is massive. So, guys, if you came here to listen to the SmackDown review, I am going to be talking some SmackDown. So thank you for giving me, 10, 15 minutes, whatever it is, talking about this. This is breaking news to another level. The magnitude of this, for BC anyway. Because again, fans like me, we've only ever known Vince McMahon attached to WWE. Like, the lead guy. And to see him, and it's so sad, man. It's sad that it was his own demise, right? His own demise, man. Truly thinking that he was invincible. Truly thinking that his power and his money and all of this could just shut people up or do whatever you want. You know, it's a classic lesson. It's a classic lesson for anybody. And it's just sad that he created one of the best things most of us will ever come across in our lifetimes. He created professional wrestling to another level, right? Like there's nothing like pro wrestling. And he created just this monster that is just so special. And he has to leave it. He has to walk away from it. He has to resign. Because he just unraveled. And it snowballed. One bad decision led to another, and that led to another, and he kept getting away with it. So he's like, what's anybody going to do about it? He's Vince McMahon. And man, it's wild to think about, you know? It's wild to think about. This dude created WWF, WWE, the one that we know. And then you see a day like this. It's wild, man. It's wild. Again, the show just went off the air. The news is literally breaking as I'm talking to you guys, man. I'm getting more popping up on the screen, statements coming out. So I know I'm kind of pausing here and there. I'm trying to just comprehend the situation. That's all, guys. This isn't, I mean, this is all one cut right now. I'm not editing any of this. So, you know, stick with me here, man. It's late on a Friday. The show just got off there. The news is breaking, and I'm trying to just comprehend it while I'm talking to you guys. So I'm going to leave it at that for now. We might have to discuss this a little bit more tomorrow. Maybe I can go on the air a little bit early before Rumble. We can get this subject out of the way, and then we can get to the Rumble. I really hope that tomorrow's show is rocking, man. But again, breaking news, Vincent Kennedy McMahon, for good this time. He is gone from WWE, forced to resign, and he knows that. Endeavor was already distancing themselves. They were like, Vince, don't make this harder on us, man. Do the right thing, please. Get out of here. And Vince knew this. The Slim Jim partnership, when that was paused, that was like, dude, this is a snowball effect. If you don't get out of here now, you're going to bring the entire ship down with you. Anyway, guys, I don't want to keep you here all night, too. It's going to be late when this goes up. So let's get over to the SmackDown show. There was a show tonight. PC was all hunky-dory doing his notes. I'm all excited for Rumble tomorrow. Then I get all this news. And I'm like, well, that just changed the tone of the show. Oh, man. Never a dull day in the pro wrestling world, guys. I'm getting more news on it too, but I really want to move on. Yeah, I don't even want to keep going. This will be an hour long, man. So let's just go to the show, guys. This is SmackDown 126-24. This is a go-home show. This is it. And then there was one show left before the Royal Rumble tomorrow night. By the time you guys are listening to this or watching this, it could be tonight. The show is going to start off with Eladio telling us that we have an amazing show for you tonight. Now, first of all, if you're wondering who Eladio is, I am too. I'm with you guys. I wish I could tell you. I mean, here, it's in my notes. His name's Eladio. I saw him in the ring. He introduced Randy Orton. And I still can't tell you who the dude is. But when he says, we have an amazing show for you, BC is like, who is we? Who are you? What is an Eladio? He's probably a good dude. He's probably great at what he does. He's a performer, I guess. I don't know if that's a singer or rapper. He's good friends with Bad Bunny, they said. So maybe he's along this. I don't know. He's a performer. I'm guessing it's a musician. And it's Miami, so who knows? You know, I guess it makes sense for a large portion of their... Although there was a lot of people in attendance that didn't know Eladio or just didn't care too. So even a lot of Miami didn't know who this dude was. But he introduces Randy Orton, and then they start posing, right? They each pick a turnbuckle, and they start posing. Eladio is posing. I'm like, what are we doing? This is the go-home show. Are we just going to cater to Miami here, or are we just going to put together some epic television? Eladio, we have a good show for you tonight. And most of us are like, who's we, bro? Who are you? What are you doing, man? Who are you? Did you used to be the Repo Man? The Shockmaster? What are you, man? What is this? The new version of Doink the Clown? The latest? What mask do you do? Are you part of the roster? And you're just out there without the mask? Who knows? But I guess he's a performer, all kidding aside, man. I just, it's a weird way to start the show. I have no idea what was going on there. And then Orton says that the only number that's going to matter at the Royal Rumble is 15 because he's going to be a 15-time champion. Guys, I didn't even realize Orton's 14-time title holder. Put that in perspective. Charlotte Flair is already 14 times for the ladies. When we say she got way too much too soon, that's what we mean. You're telling me she's tied up with Randall Ortini? I can't even believe Orton's a 14-time champ, man. Isn't Cena 15? He's got one more to reach Ric Flair's 16. I think he's already at 15. So Orton's already at 14. One more, he's at 15. That's wild, man. 14 times. Anyway, he says that's the only number that matters because he's going to get his 15th championship. AJ Styles then hits the ring. Styles says, you RKO'd me last week. Just know you got a receipt coming. LA Knight then hits the ring. Lights them both up on the microphone, and then he just takes off. Says a bunch of trash to Orton, bunch of trash to Styles, and then he just leaves the ring, and that leaves Styles to drop Orton in the middle of the ring. I think he may have given him like a Pele kick, something like that, and Orton was dropped. We could have done a lot better there, guys. The Eladio thing was just strange for the go-home show. I understand it's Miami. I'm like, that was the first person to come down the aisle, and he just started talking like he's like the chairman of WWE. We've got a good show for you. He's up on the turnbuckle. Like, who are you, bro? Too many times they bring in these people and they play WWE star. I can't stand that. You know, I thought the same for Bad Bunny, and he ended up having immense talent. You know, I turned into a Bad Bunny supporter real quick. I don't know if there's a lot of you guys that got that kind of talent, though. And then it just went into this weird thing where all the faces came down, and they all said some words, and it all led to AJ Styles Pele kicking Orton or something. When I'm thinking creativity, I probably have a little bit more in the bank than that. So the start of the show didn't hit hard, man. I gotta tell you. With the first match of the night, let's find out. Carlito versus Santos Escobar. BC's favorite referee was calling the action, referee Jessica Carr. This was a good little match with a lot of hoopla for the finish. LWO members were brawling with the LDF members, and Electra Lopez debuts on the main roster. That was a lot sooner than I had thought. They do this often. Electra Lopez, for those that don't know, she's an NXT talent. She's good. Areas of improvement that need to be had, no question. Green in some areas, absolutely. But she's good. She's a good talent. I could, like, if I'm in the creative department of WWE and I have Electra Lopez, I can work with that hands down. I can think of many scenarios where she's going to fit in just fine. But it's clear that there's so many more talents down in NXT that if you're calling up the best of the best, there's far better right now. Or that are more ready, I should say, right? And they do this often with WWE, though. They bypass a lot of the talent that's ready to go and that has been ready to go, and they'll bring up the oddest of wrestlers you wouldn't think would be called up so fast. Like they've done it in the past so much with like the Riddick Mosses or what was her name? She just got fired not long ago. What was the Sergeant Slaughter female? What was her name? Lacey Evans, right? I mean, she got called up out of nowhere. Did she even have ever an NXT premium live event pay-per-view match? I don't even think she did. But Lacey Evans just would get called up out of nowhere. You had a lot of instances like this. And Electra Lopez just leapfrogged so many others. It's just wild how they pick these wrestlers sometimes, you know? It's like it's not working to where we would like it in NXT. Let's call them up to the main roster. If it's not working down there, that probably means it's going to work up here. Well, how did that work out for Moss or for Lacey Evans and so many others? You know, Apollo gets called up out of nowhere. Apollo's good. I like Apollo. Apollo wasn't ready to be called up over so many others before him, though. And how did that work out for Apollo, by the way? And so many others. I mean, you could just come up with 100 names, probably. So just to see Lopez, I like Electra Lopez for many reasons. But I can totally see how a lot of fans are kind of befuddled. Like, whoa, that came out of nowhere. Electra Lopez is on the main roster. Just because she ties in with the whole, Santos Escobar and his clique and Carlito and his clique. So let's call in Lopez. I don't know, man. I don't know. So much more I could say, but it's late. Vince McMahon already took 15 minutes of this show. I guess we'll keep the train moving. It was a good little surprise. Again, I like Electra Lopez. The critiques that I'm giving is just, as a whole, is this the best way to go about business? If your model is developmental, and that's what NXT is for, then why are we calling up people that are not yet there? I mean, even Ava Raine, we'll get to that in a minute, by the way. Ava Raine is doing segments backstage for the main roster. You have talents that have been stuck there for I don't know how long. Braun Breaker is going backwards. Braun Breaker should have been called up a year ago, you could easily say. Braun Breaker is rotting down in NXT. They put him with Baron Corbin. They're in a comedy tag team. Braun Breaker is now a joke. They're keeping some people down there that should have already been called up, and they're leapfrogging others that are like, what are we doing, man? But I like Electra Lopez. I just can't say that this is the best decision. Anyway, Lopez at the end of this match, while LWO is brawling with the LDF, Electra Lopez debuts on the main roster. She takes out Zelina Vega. And Santos is able to defeat Carlito via pinfall off the awe-inspiring, ultra-devastating fruit roll-up. That devastating fruit roll-up is back. Santos just simplistically just rolls up Carlito. Carlito's like, I can't get up. I can't get up. Like the kid in the Christmas Story. The little brother in the big snowsuit. Falls in the snow and he just can't get up. He's like a turtle that's been flipped over on its back. On its shell. That damn fruit roll-up. Anyway, Santos with the victory over Carlito. And Santos has a new member. So just like LWO has a female, so does Santos's clique. Backstage, Ava Raine, the aforementioned Ava Raine, Simone Johnson, of course, Rock's daughter, just became the youngest GM in company history at the age of 22 years old, the new GM of NXT. She shows up into Nick Aldis's office and she asks for tips on being a GM. Nick Aldis is like, Ava, welcome. And Ava's like, yeah, got any tips? It's probably best they kept the line verbiage short because she really has to work on that in NXT. So I'm like, I hope they do that and take time with her. I said that in the one of the last uploads I put up, right? I hope they take time with her. I hope they really do this correct. What do? They bring her right up to the blue brand. This company, bro. I like Ava, though. I do. I really hope this is a success. I hope they know what they're doing, and I hope they do it accurately, because if not, this could fail miserably. But Ava Raine is backstage, and she asked for tips before Nick Aldis can say anything. Wrestlers started picking a ball from, it's back, the Tumbler. That's a bigger news story than Ava Raine, Electra Lopez, Trick Williams all debuting last night, or tonight, an hour ago. The bigger story is the return of the Tumbler, the Rumble Tumbler. If you guys don't know, for years they would have this big golden tumbler. It goes round and round, and a wrestler would pick a ball out of it. And whatever number is in there, that's your Rumble spot for tomorrow night. And tonight they just had wrestlers picking from it. Bayley, R-Truth. R-Truth thought Nick Aldis was Adam Pearce, by the way. Long story short. That didn't go over too well with Nick Aldis. But Jimmy Uso was picking the ball. He wasn't too happy, by the way. Or was it Jey Uso? Did Jey Uso show up? No, that was Jimmy, right? I don't know. Maybe, yeah, it was Jimmy. Well, Paul Heyman told Jimmy, you better enter the Rumble because you better win it, because then you're going to just forfeit your chance at a championship with Roman. Or make sure that whoever wins the Rumble is not going to take out Roman, because it's going to be you. So Paul Heyman had orders for Jimmy. The point is, all these wrestlers were going in there throughout the night and picking from the Tumbler. I loved it. I love the Tumbler. It adds excitement to the Rumble. You know, like just the expressions on their face. Like, ooh, what is that? He didn't look too happy about that. Ooh, she likes that number. That must be top 5. So you kind of get to play along, right? You kind of just, you start to think, you know, like, I don't know, little fantasy Rumble, right? You start to pick your own friggin' order. It's pretty cool. I love the Tumbler, man. So that was back there, returning Tumbler. And a debuting Ava Raine, all in one segment. Now, hour number 1 and hour 2. Hour 1 ends, hour 2 begins with a women's tag team championship match. Champions Chance and Carter versus challengers Kabuki Warriors, Asuka and Kairi Sane of Damage Control. What do you say about this? And new tag team champions, Asuka and Kairi. I think we knew for the most part. I can't say like 100% because they could have went either way on this. I get it. But just because of what was going on with Vince, and they like to do this a lot. If a title isn't on the line at the pay-per-view, like either right before or right after, they'll have like the mid-card title or they'll have them change hands. You know, if it's before, it's like the appetizer to the big event. And if it's after the pay-per-view, it's like the dessert after the main course. But they've done title changes so many times before and after a pay-per-view, you kind of felt like this is going to be one of those times. Sure enough, Asuka and Kairi, and it was a big moment too, man. All of Damage Control, they link up in the aisleway. And there's a great camera shot as pyro is just blasting off throughout the arena. It was such a good moment for them. The pyro added to the magnitude of the moment. It was just great. Great. I'm really happy for Asuka and Kairi, and I really hope, you got to believe this is just to get to WrestleMania And so it's not going to be like a long title reign. Those titles are never held long by anybody. And it's just not going to be here. It's going to be WrestleMania. Now, I don't know how you do that, you know. It doesn't look like it's going to be a Bayley and a Sasha thing, because it looks like Bayley could actually win the Rumble. And it looks like Sasha is going to Alternative Entertainment Wrestling. So I don't know who the tag team would be. I haven't even given it thought. Once I give it thought, I'll probably come up with the two individuals. But still a big moment, man. If we're living in the now, in the moment, this was really good. I wish that these title changes happened on pay-per-views, premium live events. Once in a while on a television show, okay, but we see it all the time. You know, it's the feeling, the moment is so much more special when you put it on a grander stage. But it is what it is. But what I don't like, what I see Levesque McMahon doing a lot with the females more than anything, is it looks like a certain female will start to get a push, right? And right when you're giving people a reason to care about them, right? Even if they don't fully yet, you're at least beginning. You're planting the seeds to give them a reason. And then right when they're starting to say, all right, you know what? I'm going to start watching this individual a little bit more. I'm becoming a supporter, or at least there's a reason to become a supporter. I'm going to stay a little bit longer watching this match. Right when you have fans doing that, HHH rips the carpet from underneath their feet. He just did it to Xia Li. Xia won a few matches in a row dominantly, right? Candice LeRae, Indy Hartwell, the way she was doing it, locking them out beautifully. And it was sold beautifully by Candice and Indy. And then Xia Li loses to, I think it was Val down in NXT, Becky Lynch on the main route, 2 straight L's, big L's. And then she's not seen again. You were just pushing her, man. Fans were starting to go, oh, okay, Xia Li, she's going to take somebody's dome piece off. No, she won 2 straight matches just so you could say she's a beast for the moment and have her lose 2 straight matches. Same thing with Carter and Chance. It was the same exact thing, guys. I think it was 3 matches they won, though, right? It was like Tegan and Natty. And then it was, oh man, what was the last week? It was Tegan and Natty, Candice and Indy. And then it was Alba and Isla. There you go. So Tegan, Natty, Candice and Indy, Alba and Isla. 3 straight. And I'm talking like SmackDown, Raw, SmackDown. Like it was like back to back to back. Show. WWW. And then not only do they lose, but they lose their championships to Asuka and Kairi. It's like you were just starting to build them. Like, I don't know about this short-term booking for the ladies. Like, why? I don't know. I just don't know what it's doing. I really don't know what this is doing for the ladies. It's not building a tag division, and that's my concern. I'm so happy for Asuka and Kairi, but I've seen them with those tag titles before, guys. I don't know if you remember. Maybe I'm not supposed to say that. You know, forget the past, BC. They've had those titles, guys. If you don't remember, there's a reason you don't remember, and that's what we're trying not to do again. We don't want history to repeat itself again. So that's my concern. I'm down with it. I just hope they have a plan. And it's clear, no matter what the plan is, 2 months, those titles are gone. Big moment, big title change, man. And Chance and Carter, I've been actually like enjoying their work more and more. The finisher, the keg stand never lands. That's got to change. But I've been starting to enjoy them a little bit more. So much for that. They'll probably be off TV now for the foreseeable future. They'll be playing frickin' cards and eating triple-layered moose cake with Xia Li at catering. Next up, Final Testament, face-to-face with Lashley and the Prophets. Well, not quite. Scarlett Bordeaux had the sack in this one. Scarlett Bordeaux went face-to-face with Bob Lashley. Karrion Kross cut a nice promo in the aisleway. Crowd was giving him some big heat. Not Dominic Mysterio heat, but almost. They were trying to drown out him on the mic. Scarlett Bordeaux jumps on the back of Lashley, rigs his eyes, old school Ric Flair. Lashley can barely see. Profits are being taken out by AOP. And Karrion Kross is able to give that club, that knockout club, to the back of Bobby Lashley's dome piece. So Final Testament leaves Lashley and the Prophets laying flat on their backs or stomachs, knocked out, basically. Not basically, literally knocked out, and then they walk off. Well done. Would I have liked more? Absolutely, but that's because I'm really starting to enjoy this between these two sides. So I would have liked more, but what they did was well done. I love the inclusion of Scarlett Bordeaux on a whole nother aspect. Another little bit of layers to this story, right? Scarlett Bordeaux can add so much. Paul Ellering can still add so much. I love the concept of two managers. I told you guys that, man. Two managers is the way to go. It always makes you feel special. Undertaker back in the day, right? Paul Bearer and who was it? Paul Bearer and Brother Love. That's who it was. And then you had Yokozuna with Jim Cornette and Mr. Fuji. And there's been many more in the past. Just always makes them feel special. So I like this. This was well done. So well done. I would have liked more. We'll see what they have planned going forward. Theory defeats Mello via pinfall roll-up. This was a rematch from a couple weeks ago when they got dropped on their dome pieces in a mega botch because they tried to do a Spanish fly from the turnbuckle and it just wasn't needed. And this was almost like the wrestling gods going, stop, take a breath, relax. You don't have to do this. It's a Smackdown, bro. Nobody's going to remember this match. Nobody's going back to watch it again. You don't got to get dropped on your dome piece 86 times. This match, a lot different. It was quick, it was short, but probably for the best because nobody cared. Nobody cares to this day about, I don't even think WWE, I didn't even hear the piped in boos. I didn't even hear the piped in boos, guys. It's like WWE gave up on him. They're just like, screw it, just have him go out there. In fact, when he made his entrance, they didn't start the wrestling match till 10 minutes later. They went to commercial. Then they did a bunch of like vignettes and promotionals. And then Mello came out. They just stuck Theory out there for 10 minutes. And then Mello comes out. And again, Theory defeats Mello via that damn roll-up, right? Maybe he's got some tights, maybe. I don't know. But he's just pretty much holding Mello down. Grayson Waller may have gotten into this post-match. And that's when Trick Williams made his main roster debut to even up the odds. And he was the only dude to get a reaction, dude. Trick Williams. No joke. Everybody thinks Mello's the next big thing, right? Oh, Mello, man, he can't miss. And Mello, he's so good. And everyone loves Mello. I never saw the appeal. I never saw the appeal at all about Mello, guys. I just never did. I'm not saying he hasn't had good matches. He's had plenty. A lot of wrestlers have really good matches. It doesn't put you over the top with people like BC. There's got to be much more to you. I don't get captivated by a Mello promo. I don't get captivated by a Mello match. I'm not. Trick Williams, just him coming through the curtain. There's a different aura, different presence with Trick. Like even I'll attest to that. Like there's just a different vibe. And the reaction tonight when he came out, guys, Theory and Mello are having the match. It was Trick Williams that got the biggest reaction, one of the biggest of the night. And you had some big faces out there. You had LA Knight, you had AJ Styles, you had Randy Orton. This was big. But Trick Williams, man, had the crowd rocking. I'm just saying, this is what I witnessed, saw, and heard for myself tonight. Something that WWE might have to look into. They say Mello can't miss. Maybe in the future, Trick is going to be can't miss. Main event, LA Knight defeating Solo Sikoa via DQ. Solo Sikoa is now 0 for his last 23 matches since annihilating John Cena. He has now lost 23 straight matches. And he is 2 for 36 now, I believe. So this was risky anyway, unless it was done correctly. They hoped that all the post-match extracurricular activity would make you forget about the match itself, but it didn't. In fact, it was chaotic to the point where you kind of got confused. It was 5 minutes of everybody just beating each other up afterwards. Randy Orton's RKOing everybody. Before the end of the night, freaking it would be LA Knight hitting his blunt force trauma on Orton, and then his music would play. Maybe on paper, or maybe just in theory, it sounds a little better than how it was pulled off. But man, the beginning and the end of SmackDown should have been some of the brightest spots, man. It's with all of your stars. It's the Fatal 4-Way build. And without Roman Reigns, it failed miserably. I really thought he was a part of this show. I thought he was advertised at some point. No Roman Reigns. He couldn't just show up a day earlier. It's Miami. You just got to take the couple-hour ride over to Tampa Bay. He has to be on this show, man. It's one of the big 4 pay-per-views. You're one of the big matches, a Fatal 4-Way. You have to be inserted into the storyline. Instead, Solo Sikoa has to sell all of Roman's storylines, which usually means, nope, I take that back, which always means just taking the L to all the people that Roman has to face. And now he's 0-23 because of it. And the John Cena annihilation was all for nothing. Because Roman doesn't show up. It's been a problem. It's becoming a bigger problem. And I just hope that people understand, man, I like the special aspect of not being there all the time. I get it. But this is obnoxious. This is absolute. He finally has a pay-per-view match. And he showed up maybe once or twice to sell this thing. I think it was one time. The go-home show and the start and the end of this show dedicated to the Fatal 4-Way. And nothing happened. Nothing. The only thing you remember in the first segment was Eladio, actually. Nothing to even do with the Fatal 4-Way. This dude came out and started talking about, we have a good show for you. He started acting like he's running WWE. Eladio is all I remember from the first set. The only thing I remember from the last segment, honestly, by then I was informed about the Vince McMahon resigning from WWE. So that's what I was thinking about more than anything. But I can't even tell you anything to end the night. It was just one of those things where everybody's just like trying to take out one another. That's the best you have creatively. Regardless of the show, it was a rough show. There was some good things. There were some debuts and stuff. That's the good news. Everything else was just a cluster, and it wouldn't have mattered. The black cloud of Vince McMahon is just so heavy right now. Everybody's just going to have to sleep on it, wake up and hope that the sun is shining a little bit brighter, and hoping that the Rumble is going to make us just forget about this. And by the end of the Rumble, everybody is looking forward and not backward. There's a new mission statement. There's a new goal. Because Royal Rumble has to produce such. But this show, maybe Levesque, McMahon, and all them obviously are preoccupied with other things, clearly. Not just the Rumble tomorrow, but his father-in-law. I get it. But it's the worst time for this, I'll tell you that much, man. That's it, guys. I'm going to leave it at that. This went way longer than it should have been, but there was a lot to talk about. So until next time, and there will be that next time, tomorrow night, live on the channel. All right. Hopefully we're much more ready to rock. Hopefully we can forget about this whole VKM thing, at least for a night, man, and party, man. It's the Rumble. It's the true igniting of WrestleMania season. So I'll see you guys tomorrow night, man. We'll do the whole event, top to bottom, a live watch along of the pay-per-view, a live good, the bad, and the ugly review of the premium live event Royal Rumble. So make sure you stop by and say what's up, man. Not just to BC, but to everybody in the chat. From channel members, gold unit, board of directors, all the way to every single subscriber in the red team. Go! Every single amplified unit member, you best show up and be ready to rock out.